So hey YouTube, this is DoctorDead again with another anime-based discussion, and I got my boy Fiber here, and we're going to talk about My Hero Academia today. A big part of it is Shigaraki's changes right now, but most especially the future of My Hero Academia. And again, Fiber, what's your handles, like your YouTube, Twitter, etc.?
Yeah, my handle on Twitter is @FiberKing4, and on YouTube I'm the Rich Talk Show, and you'll know me by a little picture of Parco Fagore from Zatch Bell.
Yeah, you and Zatch Bell, even though that's still one of my favorites.
Great series. I just learned like the other day, or not the other day, a few months ago, they never finished releasing it in English and Viz. So whatever translation I read must have been scans.
How many volumes did they stop at?
I want to say 23, 24, that ballpark.
That's not too bad.
Oh, yeah, close.
Exactly. Okay, so just to start off here as far as the discussion, I want to start with what are your personal thoughts on Shigaraki's changes? And before I start off by talking about that, I wanted to say I really like the duality between Shigaraki and Deku. It reminds me of a very seinen way you would tell and narrate a story, like Kojiro Musashi. I'm not saying it's in the same catalyst, so if you're a Vagabond fan, don't cut me. But I'm saying I like when the main character, not in the same way like a Naruto and a Sasuke kind of thing, but I like when the story changes focus on other characters and it's not entirely based on the main protagonist world and what they're doing, who they're talking to, who they're training against, who they're fighting, and the antagonist has the same level, if not equal, effect on the world that the protagonist does. So I like that, even though it didn't really start until like chapter 200 plus. Shigaraki's starting to affect the world in the same way Deku does in his own way. The only thing that I don't like is this whole, Shigaraki is a controlled Yami Yugi. What's the correct way I should say this? He's a more of a controlled Yugi who's being controlled by a Tem, basically, like an other self. And as much as I love it, in contrast, because of recent chapters, which we're going to talk about in a second, I'm not really fond of it in a certain way. Mainly, I just don't like the idea of an antagonist being controlled by another antagonist. But to me, it almost shits on the last 200 plus chapters of building up as a villain.
Sure.
And even his training and his power up and all that. For me personally, it kind of shits on it. It's almost like you got all this power, you got these new abilities. You're going to be the next up against Deku, and One for All is basically like, oh, you know what? See, I always do that. But One for All is like, you know what? Yeah, no. Oh, that's what I meant to say. I always do that. I meant All for One.
Oh, yeah.
I do that all the time. I was confused too.
Oh, easy to do.
Yeah. But All for One basically, he's like, you know what? Yeah, no, this is actually fake. You're on autopilot. I run the show. But what's your thoughts on that?
Well, for starters, I feel like unless they're trying to shape up some lazy redemption arc, I feel like the whole parasite mind control thing can't be something that's here to stay, or else that's just really gonna hold down and hinder Shigaraki for a lot of people. As it stands, I don't hate it, but I definitely don't want it sticking around for the long haul. Right now, I'm kind of getting Krona vibes from him from Soul Eater. I feel like it's building up to this massive moment where he's gonna, like, in the peak of his identity crisis, maybe go out on his own, say, fuck all for one, doing my own thing. And I think he'll probably have a moment like when Krona, spoilers, kills Medusa.
Okay. Now what do you think as far as we're gonna talk about recent chapters to start off the bat, and then we'll go into depth about other things. But what do you think about the whole concept with like Star and Stripes, and what do you think as far as introducing, I would say, one of the most OP characters in the series as far as a hero? So only, as far as we see in the story right now, I'm only saying this because I'm so used to Ichiro Oda doing this, so don't mind me. But I don't like fake death. I forgot the plot, like the actual literature term for it. But I don't like when you use certain sequences and narration for giving us like a
Exposition, plot
yeah,
devices, yeah.
yeah. It's like let's give you guys a tearjerker, make you feel something for this character, especially one that hasn't been built. There should have been more characterization,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I feel like it should have been more than a small foreshadow. Like this isn't One Piece where the world building, and this is the first time I think in a while where I was like, wow. I wish the author sat down with Chiro Oda basically, and he was just like, you know what? I need your advice on how I should do this. Should I do this chapter? Should I at least take 10 chapters to kind of build up to this moment? Because I just didn't feel like there's any build up. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page, and I mean, I know everyone can't do like Oda and do the, hundreds and hundreds of chapters of build-up. I'm not expecting something Shanks level, but I think something like even Kubo tier could have definitely been, done well here, like with Squad Zero. I mean, they didn't come out of left field. There were, thin little hints here and there about them. We knew they existed. We knew they were a thing. So when they came, it felt earned and not like, oh, the author just came up with this, and it just kind of makes something that I could have liked something that I wound up just not enjoying at all because it feels very artificial compared to how it would if they merely just did a few name drops. Like the fact that All Might never mentioned this person is just insane to me.
Yeah,
and then they want to act like they're this important protege, and I don't buy it.
Yeah, and the other problem that I have with it too is, see, I understand Horikoshi's had a lot of issues when it comes to the Korean fan base. I don't know in detail, but I remember some things from 2019, 2020.
Oh yeah, with the doctor, yeah.
Yeah. Due to the Nazi-based reference in the name, which I think is silly because outside of the name in reference, there's no symbols like the 90s and the 2000s where there's a lot of Nazi-based references combined with the East philosophy of what was retrained in terms of like the general media, general populace as far as what that symbol really means. And I'm sure the true symbol in the East is peace. But that's besides the point. I thought we were kind of past this whole shonen works, especially because like it happened in One Piece too. It happened in One Piece. It happened in Naruto, where like for instance, Whitebeard's original flag on Ace's back had that symbol. They had to remove it, which I ain't even gonna lie, it was obviously the symbol. So I was just like, you guys can do some small edits on it. And I remember Neji's. It was not exactly the same.
It had to be edited a bit.
Yeah, they had to edit that a little bit, which I thought was silly because unless I'm staring really hard and trying to figure it out, his head is only shown in what, 2 scenes?
I'm surprised Ichigo got away with what he did. I thought they'd changed the hilt on his Bankai.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then in Fullbring, he just flat out has one, like as like a shuriken type deal for a bit.
I think a bigger conversation needs to be had as far as anime, manga, movies, media, horror, whatever it is you're referring to, as far as like streaming. Everything is kind of on a big platform now. So when you want to be successful as an artist, as an actor, as a musician, your world has to translate globally. And I'm fairly fond of these changes and how more globally accepted people are of these things. But we got to start doing this with cultures too now, because it's starting to get to a point where they're due to the consumption of media, people are still completely misunderstanding other cultures, and they're not doing any research on it, and they're demanding these cultures to understand our culture. And just to make a short example, it's the equivalent of me saying, outside of obviously arbitrary like racist things, somebody say, whether it be about black people in general, somebody comes to me and says something outright, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, you definitely don't do that. But as far as selling it as like a product on any platform, there needs to be these conversations, especially when it's not even generally outright like in your face. And if it's discussed, Horikoshi he has actually sat down, and his art style, which we talked about before, is very seinen like, which I love about him.
Oh yeah.
And I know one of the limiting factors of the story is that it's not seinen. And I'm pretty sure if I had a discussion with him, he may say something similar. It has to do with the limiting factor of being in Jump. There's certain storylines and plot lines, I think, since the anime that's been a lot more tame than even it was before the anime. I personally think, not everything, but some things. But yeah, that's my piece on that, really. I just wish there was more cultural understanding of these things. And if you don't like something, there needs to be a discussion at least. That's all.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't get why the Doctor thing was ever a problem, honestly, because we got, series like Attack on Titan and FMA, I mean, very much more directly referencing World War II and stuff, and what he did with that name. So
FMA and
it's
Attack on
bizarre.
Titan, or FMA, Attack on Titan, and Monster.
Yeah.
Monster's my favorite one because you can't even. What are you gonna do? You're gonna tell them to remove the entire series?
I love how Black Lagoon handles it because I mean it goes right into it, and I mean no sugarcoating or anything. I adore how it handles history.
Right. Okay. So another thing I want to talk to you about is now when I mentioned a second ago about the seriousness of My Hero Academia, All for One basically there's a certain point where after the time skip, I'm sure I really enjoyed it. The 10-20 chapter based mini arc with Deku and stuff. I really enjoyed showing him trying to really be a hero full time, not sleeping well. Kind of reminded me of something that I've seen in old Spider-Man comics, in old renditions where Peter Parker's young and he gets the spider powers a little earlier than he did in the previous versions of Spider-Man. And he's basically training, he's getting his ass beat. He's basically putting himself in a position where he knows he's not strong enough and he's putting his life in danger to get stronger and protect other people. Deku kind of reminds me of that, but like a jack of all trades version. I like how he handled a lot of it. There's obviously psychological effects that no matter what his classmates have done to help him, that's not going to change anything. I won't be surprised if he disappears on them. Give him a chance. But what did you think about that? Did you enjoy that portion? Did you enjoy the portion of Deku overthinking and actually responding with his overthinking instantly in some cases? Did you like All for One's mind games that he played with him during that process with other villains? What'd you think?
I absolutely love that arc. I think my only worry at the moment is that they're not gonna let it be as much of something he carries with him as I would like. I worry that it'll feel like something that just he doesn't remember, like borderline filler if they don't have him carry that with him on his journey. But so far as the content goes, I really like it. I mean, characters like Lady Nagant are awesome. I probably would have even lengthened it personally. I would have loved this. Everything there is golden, but I would have loved this John Wick 3 style. All the baddies are after him, and we kind of follow him for a while as he's hanging on by a thread, and then maybe 1A steps in to help this bloody Deku of it. But I like what we got a lot, and I just hope that it has lasting impact.
Right, because at the end of the day, if you're a fan of Batman or like I mentioned Spider-Man, or you're into dark comics period or manga, you look at these situations and plot lines, you go, I want this kind of. Especially if you're very familiar, like you are and myself, of Seinen Works, this manga period. So when I see things like that, I'm like, ooh, wait, you could actually go in this direction. You're not scared to do this for once. Okay, so I really love that the darkness in it, the tragic side to it, Deku trying to save someone, and then All for One laughing at him, basically going, "You're funny." This villain is dead anyway. I'm just messing with you. This person means nothing to me, and you are trying so hard to save them. That is really entertaining. They're dead though. And I hope that's.
I love that scene with him where before he blows up the mansion.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's where he's comes on the TV for him. He's like, "I'm done with All Might. I'm after you now." I'm like, wow, this petty motherfucker.
I want to talk about before the time skip real quick.
Sure.
And for all those that are watching, you should already know because by the time the thumbnail's up, we've already spoiling it, and the thumbnail I'm going to have is going to be a spoiler in it anyway. So you shouldn't have clicked on this.
That's on y'all.
Oh yeah. We're jokingly and seriously, we're trying to be clickbaity with this a little bit with this one. So, as far as pre-time skip, particularly the quotation on War Arc, because that's a famous thing now in Shonen. Right. What did you think as far as Deku's consistent growth, as far as the powers that he got, every other character in that situation, and how they dealt with it and other villains? Do you think that the changes they made pre and after time skip were worth it? Do you think it's set up for something bigger? Or do you think this is just going to be dragged out? Because the one point you mentioned earlier, which I forgot to mention, is, and this goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about now, previous heroes, the kids especially, when you're seeing Deku by himself, I won't lie, I didn't miss not one character. I didn't miss All Might. It was nice seeing him in Deku's head, but I'm saying, realistically speaking, I didn't miss All Might. I didn't miss Becougo. I didn't miss any character that was just minuscule in the confines of like the actual series itself, like his classmates, other heroes. I liked watching Deku be young, and you have other heroes basically looking at him like, yeah, you're really gonna take care of this? And he's like, yeah, I took care of it already. What? Yeah, I already knocked out like 10 different villains. So he
just casually
like, yeah, like, so he more than like Todoroki, or even like his father, for instance, he's just so concerned because he's like, wow, Deku is reminding me of old All Might that he knew years ago. But in the same aspect, he was like, this isn't healthy.
It's not sustainable.
He's actually much younger than he was, so he's just looking at him like he would his own son. But, just like he said earlier in the series about his own son too, and his other sons, when it comes to saving, the people, he puts that before his own family. So he ain't gonna, he wasn't going to go, oh yeah, stay home.
I miss most of the characters, but I will say I think it was the good way to play it, because I feel like you've got to be comfortable letting your audience miss characters and develop other ones. I mean,
I honestly agree with you. I think that there's so many heroes, especially the child ones, that they should have a lot more focus as far as their development. I don't understand really Horikoshi's perspectives on that, but
not to mention, if I'm not he needed to trim some fat there. I mean, that was the time to cut some damn students.
Yeah, there's too many kids. Like, what's funny? I used to complain about Bleach having too many characters sometimes, but I'm gonna lie to you, I care more about Matsumoto or any other random character that I have not seen in years on Bleach than I do in My Hero Academia, because Horikoshi doesn't really develop them that well. I'm sorry. Like, yes, he's good at developing Todoroki and Becougo, Deku himself, and certain other small characters here and there. But for the most part, he's really horrible outside of centralized arcs, developing the kids. And it's like, I get it. Right now, it's an anime selling point. You get popular characters, people like their famous popular character. And I won't lie, even when they were showing directly just Deku, I was like, wow, how long is this going to last before we get a random character I don't care about? No disrespect to him, but he has a tendency to do that. Put the dialogue with the children above the storyline. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's like, dude, this is the worst time to start this. This has no meaning in story. They're just talking about how they ate lunch today, while Shigaraki's out here literally touching people with a flick, and they're getting killed. But we care about what bento box they got. Like, I don't care right now. Let's get back to the serious stuff. But that's what I didn't like pre-time skip, and that's probably the only thing that stops it from me for being one of my favorite series, is that although the development is great, the story is great, how for the most part Horikoshi sets the world itself and the building is maybe not on One Piece's level or on some Game of Thrones shit, but I thoroughly enjoy how he sets the story up and all the characters. I just don't like when it comes to really good plot lines he's set up for years. He did it twice. Where it's like, okay, we're building this storyline. Okay, let's focus on the class for 20 chapters. What? Okay, then at least make that more interesting. And I think that's what like the anime personally suffered from. They focus so hard on the kids in an arc where they don't matter, and I really did not like that. It was like the first time I think I watched a new season, and even then they're doing training, I had no interest outside of like Deku doing anything. Because you could even see in certain parts, they're throwing extra little small filler here and there. They're throwing filler in the middle of the season. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You have like a whole 2-volume expose on Shigaraki's exploits, basically becoming the new All for One. So it's like, what exactly, like, why are you focusing on that? And I know why that is. It's like I mentioned the Bleach thing. It's, a popularity contest. That's the game. Especially in Japan, you got to make sure you're still catering to your fan base in that aspect, because there's some people that really will, like I said, Bleach. There's some people that I know for. Like, did you see how Toshiro won a lot of the character polls?
Oh,
yes, he did. Yes, he did. Back in the day, he won almost half the character polls. Yep. He barely got any fucking role in the damn manga.
Right. And he
But if
took
you watch the
almost lost
anime,
Mr. L's, but oh my god.
right? If you watch the anime, the filler specifically,
Yep.
you'll actually notice that he does have more lines only than the majority of the supporting cast.
Oh, yeah.
And
Like
if
him
you
and
watch,
Byakuya get so much love. Him, Byakuya,
yep.
Kenpachi, favorite.
Yeah, I think Bleach is like the first manga where like the main character and the cast don't necessarily always win the character polls, which is actually really entertaining to watch in the 2000s. But yeah, Toshiro's won number one plenty of times
all the
without doing anything, being a part of any storyline, and
time.
that's
And it was
basically
always
what I'm
weird for
saying.
me
Like,
with Toshiro.
yeah.
Mhm.
But basically what I'm saying is like, you know, I understand that being a focus. I just wish the story would be more centralized in that aspect. Otherwise, I really like the direction it's going so far. I want to go back to the Star and Stripes part before I finish that. Now, what did you think as far as because we talked about it, but I want you to actually answer this differently. I'm gonna ask a different question anyway. Stars and Stripes, did you like the character personally? And I want to delve deeper into what I said before. Do you personally think that, like you said before, like if it was introduced earlier, the character, that it would have less of a I've seen not all parts of the fan base. Some parts of the fan base aren't happy about it.
Sure.
Other parts are just like they're in full support, and it's kind of like, okay, well, did this remove all the tension? Because it looks like for a while, All for One is going to be in MIA. As far as the story says, it's a week, but
yeah, who knows what that means in
they're going
manga
with
time?
deadlines a lot, so it's probably
Yeah.
going to be like a couple of days. But what do you think?
It could easily be a 5 minutes on Namek thing. I mean, time in anime just doesn't mean shit.
Right, exactly.
I like some of the stuff they had going on with her conceptually, but the execution we got, she just feels very tacked on. It felt like someone's, fan fiction OC just kind of intruding on the story. It's like,
Right.
I was a thing all along, even though no one ever mentioned me. It's like, yeah, sure you were, bitch. All right. You does it already, It's like... But I like all the groundwork was there, because, I always thought it was cool to think of, what All Might did in the States, and maybe he had a protege, but if you don't do any build up to that, it just feels unearned and kind of like you're
right.
Doing some, Toriyama shit, flying by the seat of your pants. Maybe your editors are telling you to change up the villains or the supporting cast or something. It's like Toriyama in the Cell Saga where he changed the villains 3 times.
All right, so I think I got for this one 2 or 3 more questions. We're almost done here. One of them is what do you think about Becougo's role in the story? Because I don't personally get it myself. I get where the author is going, Horikoshi personally, but I'm really confused, especially since the time skip. Like, what exactly is his role? Is his role to just support Deku? Is he supposed to die for him or something weird like that? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, he's in a strange place right now because we kind of already had his, I guess I'll call it the, Buu Saga Vegeta moment where Vegeta had his "You're the best Kakarot" moment. And that was like the perfect cap to his character arc, and I feel like Bakugo's had that now. So it's like so much left to tell. Where do you go from there with the character? Because he already kind of redeemed himself. He sacrificed himself and took a hit for Deku. He did his apology. It's like, so he's fully redeemed in most people's eyes at this point. He's turned that corner. He's a better person. So now it's like, where does this character go from here? Is he just relegated to second fiddle? What are like at least Todoroki is like the second or third fiddle. He still has like a clear arc in sight with Dabi and shit. Bakugo, it's unless Bakugo helps Deku fight Shigi or something, I don't really know what is planned for him because we haven't really had any long-term end game goal for him.
It's weird. It's almost like his setup is to get killed so Deku can grow up, and that's what I don't like about his character, because I'm starting to actually like him since the time skip, because he's actually shown character growth that's not temporary for like one arc or something. And I don't really know where it's going, because right now the focus is just on Deku, Shigaraki, and All for One. So I really don't know where they're going with that. All right. 2 more. One is what did you think about the ability Star and Stripes had? Because that was very interesting, and how that was like a super catalyst against the. Yeah. I was just like, Okay, like you're pulling cool quirks out of your ass. How many more OP heroes are around the world though, too? You
Right?
know?
For me, it reminded me like Ichibei versus Yawak in fucking Thousand Year Blood War. Like that was just a really
Oh.
off the wall power to introduce, and I loved it
Mm,
like that, straight up the Kubo handbook. I mean, that was very Kuba Odo-esque, so I was here
right.
for it. Cool power. I was very relieved to see it look like Shigaraki wouldn't get it, so because the bad guy having that just kind of then
Yeah, if he
you'll run
got it,
into
I ain't gonna lie.
almighty
If he got that
territory.
power up, they would be fucked.
Oh yeah, because then you just run into the Yawak problem in Thousand Year Blood War, where it's like, okay, the Almighty's OP. How do you kill this guy? What are you going to conjure up as an author to kill this character you made too powerful? Same thing with Madara, just shit like that.
Exactly. All right. And the last question, really, do you think that this is only a setup for there to be a direct new hero? Because it's very evidently clear, even if it's in 3 years max, it won't be Deku.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible for it to be him. Horikoshi kind of set the story up now, where you have to look at it like it's highly possible that Deku is going to be similar to like in Naruto, where Kakashi was a Hokage before Naruto was. Someone else is going to take that mantle. I don't think Endeavor is going to be that person.
Nah.
And after I seen Star and Stripes do that, like do what she did, I'm like, okay, that's just America though. Where else are these fucking here? Like, it opened Pandora's box with this, and I hope the author actually, before doing this was just a setup for something bigger that maybe is going to conflict with the final fights or this current new fight with Shigaraki. Hopefully, other heroes from other countries come together, or there's other threats in other countries maybe we have to focus on in the future. But it just opens a Pandora's box as far as All Might having proteges he never mentioned. That if she was just a hero that never was mentioned, but she's one of the strongest heroes, that's cool. But she's All Might's. She's one of All Might's basically proteges, and he saved her when she was young. There's no way he doesn't know that she's strong and has all these abilities. So I don't know if it's like there's laws like for the Hero Association we never heard before. Like there's international hero laws where you can't do hero things in other countries. Maybe they consider you a vigilante if you leave your country's borders. What do you think about that?
At least with Night Eye, we kind of had an excuse for why he wasn't mentioned before, because him and All Might were, kind of at odds.
Right.
But we didn't really get that with Star and Stripe, which kind of just left me questioning. Like, why wouldn't they have contact? Why wouldn't we have a name drop? I mean, All Might just had one reaction to her death, and it's just... he just said her Cassie, and I'm like, okay, man.
He barely teared up. Like, if at all, I'll look for it, but he barely teared up if at that. It didn't seem like he personally cared either.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't seem very invested in them, and I feel like that's a waste of the potential of a protege character. I mean, a protege character should have been like Mirio tier, where they come and make us wonder why they weren't given all for one for one.
Right. I actually also forgot to ask another question, because it actually adds more to All Might's. I wouldn't call at this point. You're going to call it a myth because nobody really knows who All Might really is at this point, because he can't be in his muscle bat form. But how many other proteges is he not talking about that don't have abilities, but he trained, or he saved, or he inspired? How many villains did he create? I think down the line, if Horikoshi wants to expand on My Hero Academia, he wants to make more money from the series, All for One won't go away. I think at some point Shigaraki is going to change. It ain't going to happen in 100 chapters. I'm talking about end of series type stuff.
Right.
I've been saying this for years now. I think the Academy concept is going to die out. I think Horikoshi's tired of it. That's why he did the time skip. That's why he's destroyed the hero world. He wants to put everyone in a position so they're uncomfortable. They have to change. They have to grow. And they have to take things seriously. Like, even the kids can't make jokes. How many jokes have you seen in the last 30 chapters?
Yeah, that's true.
Not
the
many.
comedy's definitely died down.
Right, and it's the first time in the entire series since the war, even. You know what? Actually, no, the last 2 years. Let's be real. The last 2 years, you read a new chapter?
Oh, very
outside of
maybe, for sure. Yeah.
If I was to guess, let's say out of 90, 90 plus. There may have been 10 chapters max of comedy.
Oh yeah, like I feel like percentage wise, we're probably dealing 10 to 15% tops comedy the last year or two. And a lot of the comedy, it's like dark humor. It's been given to the bad guys, which is an interesting choice. Like they're cracking more jokes than most of the heroes.
It's funny because I actually never really liked One for All. I never really liked One for All when he initially was a villain because it just came off as personal vendetta. You know, like the Joker and the Batman. I don't care about the heroes. I don't care about what else is going on. I want to fuck with you, though. I want to fuck with you. I want to torture you. I want to play these little mind games to destroy your life. Similar to, like, you know, when the Joker destroys Jason Todd, he becomes the Red Hood.
Yeah.
Or, you know, when a villain has overly obsessed, like, you know, Frieza killing Krillin type shit. So that's what I liked about him, but it didn't really seem to go anywhere because he's locked up most of the time. And this is the first time you're able to see him quotation on that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's able to freely do what he wants. So it's very interesting how he was like, for the first time, he wasn't even scared like this with All Might. But you hear him, you see him cursing All Might. He's like, fuck. Like, why is he always following me? No matter where I go. He's like, I'm in America. Why is this bitch talking about he's associated and, you know, loves All Might and became a hero because of him? Like, stop affecting the world and stop making heroes and just be a loser and make me win. It was just the first time I heard him have a very loser-based mentality, which he didn't even have with Deku. So he didn't even like giving up his quirks. If he was trying to think of every solution and not give up his quirks, which was very interesting. I think it was the first time I'm like, he actually has a weakness, and his weakness is having to give away his quirks.
I mean, for him, it's like a collection. So seeing him like panic ever so briefly, I mean, that was a really awesome moment, I feel.
Like, he can get new quirks whenever he wants, but he's like, I can't get the one I want.
It's not the same.
The ones that I have? Yeah.
It's not bidet quirk. I'm sure he has a special, unique quirk. He's like, that's irreplaceable. You know, he's a true collector, so I'm sure he's pissed right now.
All right, but that is all I had to add. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I'll just do another note on Horikoshi's characterization and how I feel maybe it could improve in the future. I feel like what Horikoshi seems to like to do is a lot of kind of what like people the more critical sorts say Oda's done post time skip with the Straw Hats. A lot of start and stop characterization, and they have a lot of downtime where it feels like they're off stage waiting for their next scene in the spotlight. So I feel like if they can, if we're going to have the students, if we're going to continue spending time on them, use them and use them well. Otherwise, just ice them already. Like ice them, or say they got their parents took them out, something because they're too scared, whatever.
But that'd actually be very interesting to see parents come out and be like, I'm taking my kids out of school because they're getting killed out here.
That was the first thing, yeah. I expected that as soon as the war ended, like when we were doing the afterglow of that. I can't believe they didn't take that opportunity.
You know what's crazy? I just realized I want someone to have character development that's one of the kids. But I want them to hate Deku because even if it's not his fault, he's one of the reasons why their parent is dead after the war. I want that to be one of the kids in his class that doesn't say anything until like a very pivotal fucked up moment. I want it to happen.
Oh, that would be cool. Fuck with that.
Cause I'm sick like that. I like seeing in my stories, like, you know, friends turn against each other temporarily, not, you know, oh, we are no longer friends anymore after this fight. Like, no, we squaring up, and then after we fight, we understand whatever it is. But thank you again, Fight. We're gonna do another one of these again. I have to figure out how to do these and shorten them. So we're not doing like 50-minute, discussions about this. But again, would you say your handle was the Fiber Talk Show?
Oh yeah, Fiber Rich Talk Show on YouTube. The one with the Zatch Bell little profile picture, and on Twitter I'm FiberKing4.
Right. Thank you again, and thank everyone for listening. Again, like, subscribe, comments. We're going to do more of these discussions sometime soon, and DoctorDead out.